and a little bit today. So before we get to shine, we're just going to get to a little bit of a check-in. So find yourself in whatever is comfortable for you. And just take a breath from there, just to thank yourself for arriving, choosing to shine, choosing to be with your fearless community today. We're so happy that you're here. And now, if it's available to you and you haven't done so already, just allow your eyes to relax, to let go of the screen for a moment, to let go of the outside world for just a moment, and just to tune into simply my voice and your sense of self. Connecting into breath and not needing to change it, but just connecting to it and acknowledging that without even trying, you have been breathing all day. So now we're going to say thank you to that breath by just inviting it to go a little bit deeper. So just taking that breath in through the nose and just inviting the breath to deepen down into the belly, just in a gentle way. We're not forcing anything, just an invitation to go deeper. And then when you're ready, just let the out breath pour out. Give yourself another nice deep breath now. And feeling the difference it makes when you pay attention to that breath that is always with you, always feeding you, but sometimes forgotten. So we're going to thank our breath, and we're going to have just another big, deep breath, the biggest, deepest breath you've taken all day, letting it in, and then just let it go. And now, over the next 2 or 3 breaths, just tune in with how you are. We're all together in our Tuesday. We're all together in this moment. But we are each in our own energy. How has your energy been today? And just checking in. And wherever that energy has been, just simply acknowledge it. There's no need for judgment. There's no need for changing it in this moment, but just acknowledging. Maybe today you've been more tired. Maybe today you've been excited. Maybe today there's been a different feeling. Or it's possible you've had more than one feeling throughout your Tuesday. And how does that feeling feel in your physical body, in your mind, in your heart? And just checking in with self so you can just be honest for this moment. How is your energy today? And now, over the next 2 or 3 breaths, we're going to dream, we're going to inspire, and we're going to plant a seed of manifestation. For the rest of your Tuesday into the Wednesday and the rest of your week, how would you like your energy to be? Do you wish for more inspiration? Do you wish for more energy? Do you wish for more movement? What do you wish for your energy? And with that wish, which is yours, and yours to keep and to manifest and work towards, just take in a really deep, big breath now and acknowledge to yourself that you can achieve that energy. You can acknowledge where you are now, and you can also shift your energy to where you would want it to be. We don't need to force this. We don't need to judge it. We just need to be in an awareness of where we are and where we would like to be. Breathing now together as a community this Tuesday, this Fearless Tuesday. You are sitting with yourself in relationship to the screen, but you're in relationship to all of us. And together in community, we will gather around the fearless fire to bring our energy together to shine. Welcome to today's Fearless Chat, everybody. Let's shine.
I was totally muting myself as I was like, yes, elevated sparklation, Deborah. Thank you so much for that grounding. Welcome to Fearless Chat 17. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Eduardo Placer. I am the founder of Fearless Communicators. We're an inclusive, diverse, fearless public speaking coaching business. And we work with thought leaders on what they say and how they say it. We were running our signature program, Fearless Force, which Zo Flamenbaum is an alumna of our Tel Aviv program. Yes. Back in 2018. Oh my God, that was so long ago. And well, we were running one of our programs in San Francisco when the world changed and put a pause on that. That's actually the program that Angie Flynn Wright was in with the balloon balls behind her. Yes. And I was traveling in San Francisco and have not been home since. So I'm currently exiled in Miami Beach. There are worse places to be, so fully acknowledging the privileges and the benefits that I have of shelter and home here, and with a real longing to go home. So I really miss New York. I really miss being home. And finding myself on these Fearless Chats has been a bit of finding home. You know, the new home and the opportunities to connect with some of you who we hadn't met before, and just the privilege of being in this shared space together has been a beautiful anchoring. And anchoring around community, anchoring around thought leadership, anchoring around what are the conversations that matter now has just been a huge source of like filling the proverbial well during this time. And when we were looking at our different thought leaders, you know, we kind of had an idea as Deborah and I were brainstorming. We were specifically thinking of alumna of our Fearless Force program, and immediately we thought spark, shift, shit, shine. And what that looked like was sparking the fire, which we did with Barbara Senrick several, 4 sessions ago at the beginning of this conversation, which is about how do we harness that idea? What's that kernel of that idea? How do we access that kernel of something that is going to turn into a fire, right? So how do we spark that initial concept? Then we had a conversation with Tiffany Brown, which was around pivoting, which is the shifting. So now that we know what it is, what do we have to shift? What do you have to shift energetically? What do we also have to shift as far as idea? What are structures we can put in place around that? Then once we've shifted, we want to get shit done. So that is what Amy Noel spoke about last Thursday. And then today we're coming with a grand finale of our Spark, Shift, Shit, Shine conversation with Zo Flamenbaum talking about shine. Now, Zo is an expert on everything shine. She started a platform business called School of Shine in Tel Aviv. We'll learn more about that journey. I had the privilege of working with her in the Fearless Force program, where we crafted a talk around her voice and speaking. There are other things that she does as a creator. On top of writing, she's also a spoken word artist, you know, and an amazing talent in that capacity. And it's just such an honor to have you with us, Zo. So elevated sparklation to you, Zo Flamenbaum, you know, and for saying yes so readily at midnight in Tel Aviv to participate with all of us in the various time zones that we are all in here participating. So Zo, I'm going to have you unmute, and then shall I share the screen of the presentation and start there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Or do you just want to, why don't we jam and you share us a little about who you are, and then we'll go into the, I'm going to spotlight you too, honey. Yeah.
Yay, hi everyone. It's so good to be here. And I knew that there is no questions asked about me being here because I knew that this would energize me, and I haven't felt this energized after midnight since the last time I did my vagina spoken word poem at the Fearless Force Parents
Yeah.
4 party. So I knew this was the right path to go. And thank you to Eduardo, and thank you for Deb, and thank you to the Fearless community for also showing up and for being here and for being ready to shine. And actually, so I'll share just a bit about myself, and I also really invite this to be an open conversation. I love having people on the other side of the screen and hearing your voices. So feel free to also just ask questions or use the chat or really be engaged however you like. But my story really started like the opposite of shine when I was in this complete darkness, feeling super burned out. I started School of Shine about in 2014, so 6 years ago. And it's grown into this really beautiful platform for women and empowerment and education and really learning about the insides of ourselves. But when I first started out, I was really just experimenting with all of these different things. So pop-up yoga, fundraisers, inspiration stations, any and every kind of thing. And I was just on this like go, 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 go. And anyone relate to the go, 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 go?
How many go-go-goers do we have on this call? We can elevate and sparklate the
You're a
go-go-goers.
go-go-goer? Yeah, okay. And I got used to this pace, and I went and I went and I went until my going was gone. And it was 2 days before the Breastival, which was our annual breast cancer awareness fundraiser. And I fainted, which had never happened to me before. Of course, the show must go on. But I remember the day after the event, which was perfect, raised a lot of money, went off without a hitch. But the day after the event, I crashed and I burned, and I needed to go to the doctor because I had like held myself from doing so. And he told me that I had a concussion and that I just needed to lie in a room in the dark for 2 weeks. And, I really started to just think and came to many realizations while being forced to not move, that I was sacrificing my health. I was sacrificing myself for things that mattered, but did they matter more than my life? And I chose then to really, first of all, never sacrifice my health again for these external circumstances, and also practice what I preach. Because, School of Shine started as this invitation for women to develop our own voices and to prioritize ourselves and to learn ourselves. Yet I wasn't able to do that for myself until I obviously learned the hard way. And yeah, unfortunately, life does give us the hard way to learn, but it also doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy. So that's what I am kind of inviting us to talk about tonight, and is how to, when I think of shine and what that means, to me, it really means energy. It means the spark, it means your drive, it means the fuel that moves you. And we all have this like powerful resource of energy that sits inside of our bodies. But sometimes we get carried away and let it carry us away. And, also I was just sharing an example that I'm from New Jersey originally.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Hello, New Jersey people, yeah. So I moved to Tel Aviv, Israel about 10 years ago, and this city has this like crazy energy which sucked me in, and that's also what energy does, and that's what big cities do, and that's what big projects do, and that's what big ideas do. They suck us in. But I realized 10 years later that I was just like sucked up and rolled over in and pulled in all of these ways and I wasn't in control of it anymore. I was just being sucked into it. And I decided that I needed to step out and not be just like unconsciously turned over by all of this energy or carried away by all of this energy. Because there was a point where I was just like drowning in shine, and I was really just barely keeping my head above water, and I was exhausted. And I didn't want to be exhausted anymore. And I don't think that we need to operate in this mode of exhaustion at all times. And so tonight I hope to share some tools to prevent that exhaustion, to prevent ourselves from getting there, and create a language for each of us to really learn when we're reaching that point of burnout, when we feel like we're drowning, and like how to save ourselves. And also, maybe if you're a go person, or if you've experienced burnout, or if you're on the verge of burnout now, maybe give me some jazz fingers too. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm talking to the right people. And also, if you do have any questions or any clarifications, please ask. I love questions, and it also, I love conversations.
Yeah.
Talking to the screen sometimes.
We will make sure to do that. So
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, Zo, is I'm going to share the presentation that you have, and then we're going to go off of that. And the real opportunity is to engage with the chat. And I think there are going to be some prompts that she's going to have us reflect on that we'll then be able to engage throughout the presentation, which is a bit of a debut, Zo Flamenbaum. You know, this is super exciting. I love. Okay.
True. Yes. So this is like not the kind of thing where you can sit back and relax, right? You're invited to do so. But if you really want to make the most of this, I invite you to step in and get involved and take a part. Because that's also the difference between, I'm probably not going to tell you any information that you don't already know, right? We know a lot of things. We intake so much information. We are slapped across the face with all of this information. But what do we do with it? How do we use it? And how do we integrate it into our lives to really live better and live happier and live healthier and create a better world for ourselves? And also, I think that this place in time where we are in our world is super powerful, because we're forced into pause. We're forced into kind of this breakdown, and the only thing that comes from a breakdown is a rebuilding. And so we're invited to really reevaluate and rebuild and redesign how we want to live our lives. And obviously nothing's going to happen overnight, but it really is about these baby steps that we take. And it's all about energy and how to shine every day. And I do just want to give a shout out to Canva, because I did not personally design this. So shout out Canva. It's like the most amazing tool ever. And thank you for being beautifully diverse. So this is all about energy mapping 101 and how to shine. So again, the problem is that we learn how to manage our time. We learn how to manage our inboxes. We learn how to manage everything, really. But we never learn how to manage our energy. So we have all of these kind of things being thrown at us from the outside, from the external world. But our energy is really the source of internal wisdom that we have. And we don't often tap into that. So when we have all of this outside external information being thrown at us, it means that our attention is being directed in so many other places that are not us. So really, when we think about the problem and we take it to, all right, forget time. Time is something that we can't control. Forget our inboxes. They're just going to keep filling up no matter how many times we clear out our emails. What we can manage is our energy. So if you want to just scroll to the next slide.
Yes.
Thank you, Eduardo, for being my
You're
guide.
welcome. I get to be Dana White. It's really fun. I just and you just give me a gesture, and I'll knock it down. Okay.
So what is energy? And to be honest, there's a bajillion different ways to describe energy. And I really invite you to start thinking about what that means for you. And if you even want to throw up your definition in the chat, you're welcome to. For me, I equate energy.
Yeah. Why don't we just give 45 seconds to a minute? Like if you were to define energy, let's put that in the chat. I'm very curious what Seth would have to say about energy with your rainbow and your RuPaul background. So yeah, I'm very curious. I'm going to take a little 45-second poll, a little 45-second moment in the chat. Energy, what is energy?
Let's hear it, beautiful people. My life force, yes.
Yes.
Fuel with an output, beautiful.
Your thoughts and feelings manifested into force. Ooh.
Force
that creates motion and gets shit done. Yes, Ben Peltison. Yes.
My internal voice that tells me the truth. Yes.
Energy is like bring to any given situation, but it can also be drag. Yeah. Energy is the vibration that we are aligned to. My overactively unique characteristic. Yes. I love a way of being. Yes.
Nice.
I love it. Yeah. Okay, awesome.
Beautiful.
Crowdsourcing of energy. Yes.
Wow. So beautiful. So to me, I equate energy to shine, right? And exactly like some of you said, it's our vibration. If I you can see me, right? You see me vibing across the screen, right? If I had come on the screen hello, how are you? How are you doing? What's going on? You can feel someone's energy. And when we, that one person that you feel attracted to, or you have a moment with someone and you feel this familiar connection. So it's this energy that is our fuel. It's our motivation to take action. I also like to think of energy as the point between thinking and doing, right? It's what moves us. And also thinking of energy.
Let's double click on that, Zo. Let's double click on that. Say that again. Please say that again. It's the
energy is the space between thinking and doing.
Heidi just wrote, my heart, my soul, and the secret sauce to how I interact with the day. I feel like the secret sauce is the secret sauce between doing and what were the?
Thinking and doing.
Yeah, the secret sauce between thinking and doing. Ooh, that's Janny. Hashtag that. Yes.
See, this is it. This is the conversation, the new language that we are creating. And it's important to talk about. Energy is the space between, yeah, I like that. So it is when you feel that you want to do something this fearless chat, do I make dates with anyone after midnight? Absolutely not. But Eduardo and Deb call me and they're like, Zo, we want you on this chat. And I'm like, yes, so there's this also it's a natural intelligence. It's our intuitive drive to move towards the things that move us and the things that bring us joy and make us feel fueled and motivated, right? And often I think we can go, also another way to think about it is that we're a battery and we fill up and we get full, but then we deplete and we need to be recharged. And it's about what's really turning us on or off. The thing is, with the human way of being, we often don't know how to turn off. And yes, okay, maybe we're sleeping, so we're turning off our body, but our minds are moving, and we live in this world where our minds are on go, 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 even if we don't want to be. And we live in a world with such complex layers of information that we've never been here before. We've never been in this place before in history. So there's lots of massive kinds of news that's coming in, and we don't know how to process it, and we don't know how to manage it. And when we do tap into our energy, it's a tool that we have for ourselves and only ourselves to be able to manage our lives better, manage our moods better, manage our responsibilities better, manage ourselves better, manage our families better. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. So I also, again, like I think you all gave really amazing definitions to energy. And the way that I think about it that's really grounding for me goes back to like Carl Jung's 4 gates of intelligence, where we can really think about the different types of energy that exist. So there's the physical energy, which is, you know, our body sensations, how tired we are, how exhausted we feel, the pains in our body, our senses, whether we feel energized or exhausted. It's our framework, it's our muscles, it's our bones, it's whether we exercise and how we sleep, right? So there's this physical energy, that's a layer of energy that exists, that is, you know, one of the most important because it's this body that we live in. The next one is our mental energy. Where do we spend our brain power? I read this book called, it was all about ritual, and it describes the mind as this mental warehouse. And, you know, we have this warehouse from when we're born, and we can put every time we learn something new or we see something new, we put these things in our warehouse, right? But today, when we think about it, what is the status of our warehouse? Is it crazy with things all over the place? Is it messy, or is it clean and neat and orderly? So what's the status of our warehouse? Where do we spend our mental energy? What kind of thought patterns do we have? Do we dwell in the past? Are we worried about the future? Where do our thoughts go? And how conscious are we of those thoughts? How much information are we intaking? How much news are we watching? What are we filling our minds with? Super important. The other type of energy is emotional energy. And this is also where the roller coaster comes in, right? Because we have no control over our emotions. We can't decide what we feel. We feel sad, we feel angry, we feel frustrated, we feel joy, we feel down, we feel up. So this is like where our energy really plays with us. And often when we don't pay attention to that emotional energy that we have, or we suppress it or we repress it, then we have all this built up energy that's living in our bodies and our minds, right? So it's like our emotional energy is the wave, and we can choose to ride the wave, or we can choose to get crashed and burned by the wave. And if we don't allow those emotions to kind of fully flow through us, then eventually we're gonna feel that burnout. It's what happened to me too. You know, it's like you get these little hints, you know, and if you don't pay attention to the hints, they're going to catch up to you at some point.
And spiritual energy.
And spiritual energy, yeah. The other, just one more thing about the emotional energy is this also like relates to our emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is all the rage these days, because really we don't learn about our feelings. We don't learn how to communicate our feelings. We don't learn how to be vulnerable. And so, I mean, I normally speak just to women in regards to this, but it's beautiful to have kind of a mixed crowd, because humans feel, it's what we do, it's okay. And even like with this corona crisis, you know, people don't understand that emotions happen, and it's okay to feel up and it's okay to feel down. So yes, so that's just something to note. Emotions are cool. We're humans. We're made to feel. Allow the feelings, flow with the waves. And then there's the spiritual energy.
So just,
and this is the one that we, yeah, go ahead.
wanted to, on the emotional thing, one of the things that I've been,
Wait, I can't hear you.
can you hear me now? Yeah. One of the things that I've been reflecting on, specifically on the emotional side.
1 second. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the ability to be with simultaneous emotions at the same time. I feel like that's what this Corona thing has afforded me, is being in relationship to being both like, I'm grateful and I'm fucking pissed. Do you know what I mean? You know, you know, I'm hungry, you know, and I'm like, you know, full at the same time. Do you know what I mean? But I'm comfort eating, you know, the banana cream pie that I have in the freezer. Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, I feel like maybe it's the stakes of where we've been right now. And I feel like being able to be open about this emotional conversation, having the spaces where I can say, I'm both like, you know, really, you know, like present and fucking bummed. And I'm like anxious and I'm productive and I'm lazy and I'm, you know, it's like all of it at the same time. And just allowing myself to just know that like in microseconds, I'm flipping between those. And maybe it's the context that where we are right now, that for the first time ever in my life, I'm allowing myself the permission to do that.
I give you elevated sparkulation for that too.
Steph just said all of it at the same time.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe it's because, and it's funny that I'm on the beach. I'm on Miami Beach, so I can literally see the waves coming in. I'm thinking about Deb and her talk around grief, and sometimes the greatest way through is not like going out of, like riding the wave, but also going through the wave, like allowing yourself the experience of being in that vibration. And I think that there's something really beautiful as an equalizer in this moment, that it's been like this context has impacted all of us. And I think that the relationship to that emotional intelligence and having the space to share and communicate about that is so powerful, because when we don't, I think it's when the lid is blocked, you know, we diminish, we don't light up, you know, the shine is blocked. So, so I love that we're talking about that. I'm really excited about the spiritual piece of it. So give me some spiritual.
Sure. I also just want to acknowledge the fact that like we don't have to be either or, right? We live in a world that's very polar opposite. Yeah. We have to be this or that. But no, we don't. We can be a little bit of everything, and that's also the beauty of it. You can feel great gratitude and you can feel great sadness. Like it's okay to feel both and feel everything at the same time. So I invite all of those feelings.
Yeah, I had an experience several years ago. I was dating this man, and he told me, I'm ambivalent about dating you. And I was like, fuck you! I was so fucking pissed. I was like, what the fuck is that about? You know, and yet, like, I had such a resistance to ambivalence. Like, I like was so, and like, I feel so human in my ambivalence in this moment. Do you know what I mean? In the and. Like, and I really had empathy for him. Like, it's funny that I'm like dealing with my heart, my single heart. But I was like, it can be both, like, he can both have longing and desire and also confusion at the same time. Like, but that in this moment, we can be both is really powerful. That we live in a world of yes and, not either or. And I feel like that's what's emerging, you know, and, you know, that it is, what is this space of and? You know, we are virtual and we're also physical, like we're digital, and we're remote and local. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are, like, all of that, I think, is what's emerging in this new context. And I think being able to be with the and, I think, is a great muscle to start flexing.
I love that. I'm into the and 100%. Into the and for sure. Another question from Seth, do you have to reduce one focus to give it to another? And I wonder how to tell where I am today. So in terms of reducing one focus to give to another, no, absolutely not. This is just an invitation to, like, instead of really, when Deb asked that "how are you" question in the beginning. So this is an invitation and a tool to start like breaking down how you are. You know, how is my body today? How is my mind today? How are my feelings today? How is my heart today? How is my spirit today? So this is just an invitation to start a new kind of conversation with yourself in terms of your energy. And we'll get to the tools on how to figure out where you are in, I think, like this slide. In terms of the spiritual energy, this is the one that cannot be named and that we do not know. This is the unknown. This is where we all are now. And this is where we really need to trust and have faith and know that we're all part of this bigger process. This is also like the aha moment. This is the stars aligning. This is like the coincidence that is not a coincidence. This is like the serendipity that exists if we allow ourselves to surrender and we tap into this like higher wisdom that exists. And the way that we tap into the higher wisdom that exists is by tapping into our inner wisdom. And this is also, this spiritual energy is also, I think, a very feminine aspect. And so when I say, I'm really an advocate for feminine leadership, and I don't mean women leadership. I mean thank you. I mean like the feminine aspects of leadership, which are a little bit more softer. They're the magical, they're the unknown, they're the spirit, they're the space between thinking and doing. So the spiritual energy is really an invitation for us to explore the pieces of ourselves that we don't know yet, that are waiting to be revealed, but that we have kind of, because we're stuck in this go, 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 and all of these things from the outside coming in, we haven't yet tapped into like this deep internal resource that lives within us and that is waiting to give us direction and guide us exactly where we need to go if only we chose to listen. And so that's also why this space, this isolation, this quarantine, this cocoon is an invitation, I think, from like the higher, where whatever you believe in, to tuck in and to go inward and to tune into yourself and to begin this new process of trusting yourself, and trusting that you know everything that you need to know. You don't need anything else besides yourself. I'm going to
move to the next slide.
Yeah, good. If any thoughts are coming up, please just bring them in. So also, I just wanted to share really quickly on, energy is something that's like this big, broad topic, but I did want to start talking about it and creating a language around it. And I know that with the feminine aspect, we all still live in this masculine world, right? We need to map, we need to measure, we need the lines, we need the linear. So this is, again, the and. We don't need to be either or. We can be both. We can be and that's where our balance returns. That's where the goodness comes in. So really, in terms of how to begin mapping and measuring, in my belief, going back to those 4 gates of intelligence, and by the way, this is all my own experience. I've learned a lot. I've tried a lot of different disciplines, but this is all my perspective. I invite you to take what you want, leave what you don't. I invite you to shift the things that feel they need to shift for you. And I invite you to kind of use this to start your own conversations around energy and how you map and measure it. There's no one way here. There is just your way and the right way. So anyway, in my mind, the physical gate of intelligence is the main gate. It's, our standard. It's our survival instincts: food, sleep, water, exercise, love. Do we have those things? Are we on survival? Yes. I think if we're all on this Zoom call right now, we're okay with this state of survival. So the physical gate is also just one that I think we often detach from. And I think the physical gate is where all of the wisdom lies. So the more we're able to tune out of our minds and into our bodies and tap into these physical sensations that we host in our bodies, that's where our hints are also coming from. And that's where like the most important hints are coming from. Because if your left foot has been hurting for the past 3 years, go to the doctor, because we don't want to break you, you know? So just like really an invitation to tap into your physical body, and make sure that you're listening to like your standard framework. I think that the emotional gate is the most powerful gate, because it's the one that can carry us away and reroute us and open and closes on its own terms. And it kind of, again, it's like this roller coaster. But when we pay attention to our emotions, to our triggers, to our cues, to what sets us off, to how we feel and how we're managing how we feel, how we let it like kind of move through us, then we're much more capable of managing energy. Again, like I said, the spiritual gate is like the magical gate, the trust in the higher force at work, and the wisdom to know that everything you're doing is the right way, is the right thing for you. And also the spiritual, by the way, is if you find yourself in patterns over and over again, where you're burnt out after this, or you meet this person and she's kind of draining your energy, or just kind of really thinking about your patterns at work, the less tapped in you are to your spirit, the further away from yourself you are. So spiritual to me really means an invitation to connect with yourself. We can get into, I think that's a different conversation.
No, I have a quick question. Seth just wrote, I think it's interesting you called these gates. Why that choice of word?
That's a good question. I think that gates is like an opening. It's an opening in terms of like allowing, receiving information. And I think our body is this like intermingling, our body, our mind, our heart, our spirit is this intermingling. And, you know, we often live in our minds. But I think when we can think of it of gates and think of like, are we open or closed? Is our body open or closed? Is our mind open or closed? Is our heart open or closed? And this is also another step. You're asking the right questions, because we are on the path to that. Is we choose, it's our power of choice whether to open or close it. And when we live openly, when we live with the and, then we are able to expand instead of contract. So that's also just the gates.
Zo, I also want to be mindful of time. We have about 12 minutes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay,
yeah,
let's keep
we're like rushing along. And I love the gates too, because it's like you can also control how much is flowing in and out of those gates, right? So there's a certain level of agency also. Is it open? Is it closed? Is it open part way? And I love that there's some agency in how I am managing the opening and the closing of the gates, you know, to me. Okay. Shall I move the slide? Are we?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. We're gonna move. So this is like the money slide, because this to me is how I really started to like learn how to better design my days. And I'll just go through these. So this is also just a scale that I made up. And I invite you, I invite you to like make up your own if it works for you, but I really invite you to also see where this fits into your life. So we all kind of want to reach this flow state, right? Where everything is easy and we're just kind of floating along, sailing, where everything is moving with us, right? We're saying yes, we're balancing and we're feeling good. And then, the next state is the go state. And this is like the go, 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 you know? Yes, we want this project. Yes, we like to do this. Yes, we're on full energy. We're preparing and we're pumped to dive into new things. Then we reach the whoa state. And the whoa is like, to me, it's like the whoa, okay, something is shifting right now. You realize that you might be a little bit overbooked and you're still balancing things, but you're starting to kind of lose yourself and you are ending up falling last onto the list. And you realize that maybe there's a small hole in this boat and Then you reach low energy, where you really start faltering, and maybe you cancel some things, and you're still going because you've committed and you have all of these responsibilities, but you're starting to make mistakes, and you're sinking a bit. You're not responding as fast as you can. You're a little bit forgetful, and then there's the no state, and this is when you're done and you've hit rock bottom, and you're burnt out. You have to say you no is your only response, and you can't imagine being in go mode ever again. And this is an invitation to you, these phases of energy, to just start thinking about which states and stages and even times in your day where you feel flow, where you feel go, where you feel whoa or low or no. And the moment that you kind of tap into your typical patterns and habits and triggers and cues, and you can kind of reach this state of knowing where you are and how you'll react to something specifically, then it's a step in preventing getting to that no mode. Because also, we live in a world of extremes, right? So you say yes, 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 go, 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 go. And then you crash and you burn and your energy is depleted. And then it takes you that much longer to kind of reestablish and re-reach this point where you get into your flow. So the invitation here is to kind of lessen the gap and to know yourself and to know what gives you energy and to know what depletes your energy and to know what makes you feel open and excited and yes, and what makes you feel closed and contracted and like you're just not really in it. Okay, you can go to the next slide.
As I do that, I also want to acknowledge Pat just said, as a sailor, when on our sailboat, we have a direction to start, and as soon as the wind shifts, we have to shift with it. We have no control. That's like a perfect example of flow.
Beautiful. Actually, maybe go back to the last slide. I would love to hear from all of you where you think you are right now in this phase of energy. So there's no wrong answer, but where you think you are right now, if you had to base on this scale.
You have some go, some whoa, some go, some go. Between low and whoa, whoa. Between go, low,
so
low.
Also acknowledging, by the way, that this can change in a minute. Yeah. You don't have to be like we talked about before. You know, we're a roller coaster of everything right now. So right now I'm on flow because like I know that like people like Eduardo and the fearless community are people who energize me. After this, I'm gonna be on low, no, get me to bed. You know. So anyway, so cool. All right. So this is also just the start of a conversation. All right, next slide. This is just a reminder that, you know, we get caught up with all of these external circumstances, but the second that you realize that you are a light bulb, and if you never turn off, you burn out, it's an invitation to slow the F down. We don't need to continue moving at the pace that we've been moving. We have nobody else to keep up with. We are the only ones competing with ourselves. And I know also, you know, depending on your industry, depending on how you work, depending on how you move, it's natural to kind of just go, go, go. But I think at our moment in time, it's an invitation to shift away from that linear structure, to start thinking on a very non-linear scale and to rebalance this feminine and this masculine aspect of the way that we work and the way that we lead and the way that we are as humans. So yeah, next slide. I want to have time for us to kind of have a conversation around this. So this is just kind of diving deeper into that process. So when it comes to energy, it's really about knowing what your cycles are, knowing what your patterns are, accepting why these are your cycles and your patterns. And this is the part where it requires brutal honesty. So, you know, it could look like, you know, by Thursday, I'm like a bitch because I'm super burned out. Or even like tonight. You know, I knew that me being up past midnight, tomorrow I'm giving myself until 12 to start work. So it's really like accepting the truth and the brutal honesty that I know I'm going to be tired after this, but tomorrow morning I get to start my day a little bit later.
That's what I do. So I'm just like,
then it's about setting your
out.
intention. Where do you want to go? What's the next step? What do you want to do now? Where do you want to place your focus? Then it's about integration. And integration is also the action step, because it's not just about knowing the information or knowing what you want to do. It is about doing it, and it's not required to take a big, huge step, but it's just required to take that next baby step. I think in Frozen 2, they say, like, the next right thing. What is the next right thing? And when we're tapped into our gates of intelligence, when we're tapped into our body, into our mental space, into our heart, into our mind, we know, we tune in. And then that becomes transformation. And then, you know, awareness starts all over again. Okay, next slide. Just wanted to also, this also speaks to the polarity of the world that we live in, like, it's like you versus the universe. And there's this whole universe that exists outside of us. And then there's this whole universe that lives inside of us that we don't often pay attention to. So these are also just ways to kind of create a language around our body. Do we expand or do we contract when we want to do something? In our mind, are we screaming yes or are we screaming no? In our heart, are we operating with an open heart or are we feeling closed, contracted? If we listen to our gut instinct, are we moving towards or away? So these are also just like internal tips for how to learn where our energy is taking us, where our energy carries us away, where we feel energized or what might be draining our energy, where we invest versus where we neglect our energy. We can move to the next slide. I'm also happy to send this to you guys afterwards. And this is just like the final kind of ways to allow ourselves to gain energy. You know, when we think about investing versus neglecting our energy, like the ways we invest in our energy is, again, how we eat, how we sleep, whether we exercise, if we take tech breaks. The way we neglect our energy is, you know, binge watching, too much wine, getting like stuck on the scroll, like not moving our bodies. So when we think about how we want to invest our energy and where we're focusing our mental powers, and our physical powers and our emotional powers and our spiritual powers, these are just 8 kind of ways to practically begin cultivating your energy. So 1 is free movement. And note, I'm not saying dance, I'm saying free movement, because your body wants to move the way it wants to move. So by simply letting it move, you're creating movement in your life and flow in your life. 2 is breath work. We don't breathe enough. We need to breathe more consciously. 3, returning to nature. Simple, we all need it, especially now. 4 is meditate. Getting out of our minds and getting into our bodies is so important. And also meditation creates a practice and a way for us to train our brains to really figure out where we want to put our mental powers, where we want to place our mental energy, what we want to store in our mental warehouse. Number 5, stop, drop, and nap. Stop. You're tired, take a nap. Rest. Do it. 6, put down your phone. How much energy goes towards our phone, and how much time do we spend on our phone that we're not investing in ourselves, self-care? Number 7 is say no. Saying no to others means saying yes to yourself very often. And the 8th one is to BYOB, which means in my language to be your own bestie. To really just love yourself, take care of yourself, treat yourself, to to what you deserve to be treated to.
I'm curious if
yeah.
people were to put, like, if they were to choose one, what would be their top one that they would put in the, if they could choose one of the 8, what is the one? Mine is to stop, drop, a nap. I took a nap at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm a huge champion of the 20-minute nap. So is Angie. Catherine is movement. Emily is return to nature. Heidi is put down the phone. Ben Peltison is phone. Delee says, I lately haven't been able to quiet my mind and meditate. Need to find a way to get back to that space. Beautiful. I love the BYOB. Be your own bestie. Yes, Ali. Yes, Shanam. Yes. So yummy. So Zo, we're at time. I want to be mindful of the, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen. We're going to come back here. So an acknowledgement to you. Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. And you have a special gift for everyone, right? So what is everybody getting in their email after this?
Yeah, so I created a way to really dive deeper into your energy. So I have like a worksheet, and I'm really happy to send it to you, and also just to continue the conversation, Eduardo, if you want to share my contact information as well. So my gift to you.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful. It's really interactive. It's really colorful, and it's like super yes. And we'll also include your email in that, so they can reach out to you personally with any questions. And then how do they follow you on social media? So you're Zo Flame on Instagram, but you're also the School of Shine. Does that have its own?
Yeah, so I'm Zo Flame personally, or I'm School of Shine. I'm also on Facebook or Instagram.
Awesome. And are there any recordings of you doing your spoken word?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that for you. I'm gonna make a recording, and I'm gonna send it.
Okay, great, awesome. Because her one on her vagina was amazing that she did for our Fearless Alumni thing. Just hashtag no big deal in a safe room with women and gay men. Yes. So Zo, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for being a part of our conversation. We gather every Tuesday and Thursday in our Fearless Chat land. This Thursday, we're featuring Danielle Christine Toussaint. She's another alumna of our Fearless Force program, and she is an amazing brand strategist. She runs a company called She Thinks Purple. A lot of her clients are women of color, entrepreneurs, small business owners, just beautiful work around storytelling. Has an amazing story herself. So we're featuring her. Her talk is called Lead With Your Story. That'll be on Thursday. And then the next series is around mental health, mindset, and spiritual well-being. So that's our next chunk of 3. So we're really excited about that. So stay tuned for that. And then, this is just something to ping for yourself. We at Fearless Communicators are launching a pilot program around storytelling and elevator pitching. If that's something that interests you to be a part of this pilot, reach out to me, send me an email, eduardo@fearlesscommunicators.com, and we'll create a conversation around that away from this call. But just want to let you know that we are in that space of thinking about what is most relevant for you to be sharing out in the world about what's your story and what are you offering, okay? Again, we do a little ritual at the end to complete us. So if you're able to stay on, we'll do this like final little ritual to complete us. And if not, we totally get that we're over time and you may have somewhere else to be. So we're grateful for that. And if not, we'll just begin with our final little ritual here. The way you're basically, I'm going to acknowledge somebody in a very specific way, and you're going to acknowledge someone else. And we're going to go in a little circle as we complete. And because Ben is looking slightly terrified, I'm going to start with Ben. So just, Benjamin Peltison and Emily Shane are both Fearless Communicator facilitators. Ben is a brilliant actor, colleague, friend. Grateful to have you here on the call. Emily is also a brilliant actress, collaborator, friend, also on the call. So great to see you. So Ben, I see you and thank you. And now you get to choose somebody else and say the same.
Great. Deborah, I thank you so much and acknowledge you so much for getting me into this chat late via text. I really appreciate.
Clarabelle, I see you and I thank you.
Lori, I see you and I thank you.
Look at me learning how to use Zoom. Emily, I see you and I thank you.
So I see you and I thank you.
Pat, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you. Eduardo, I see you and I thank you.
Delise, I see you and I thank you.
Ali, I see you and I thank you.
Thank you. Oh no, who has not gone? Heidi, right? I see you and I thank you.
See, I think everybody, we've seen everybody.
Angie.
Angie, I see you down there in the corner and I thank you.
Thank you.
Angie, you get to acknowledge all. So as the last one.
I see everyone and I thank you.
Yes! So beautiful. Thank you all so much gratitude, and we look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Zo, just hang out for a quick second, and then everybody else, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Mm-mm.